Hey everybody, welcome back. It's MJ from Just Plain Fun, and y'all are not going to believe this, but I have some more cool stuff to show you. You ready for this? So the first thing is going to be what's in this box right here. Y'all definitely are going to want to see that. And then for the record collectors, all I think two of you that actually watch my stuff, I've got some record parts that you might be interested in. And then I've got whatever is in this box, and that is kind of a special plane, but it's a parts plane. Just wait till you see it. And if you're into combination planes, wait till you see this number 45. Honestly, you don't even see these metal boxes too terribly often, but this one is pretty legit. And last and certainly not least, what you're really going to want to see is what's in these blue boxes right here. Because this might just be the next evolution in the Just Plain Fun ecosystem. How cool is that? We're going to start out strong right out of the gate. Check this out. Are y'all familiar with the special cutters or special irons for mostly number 55s is what they're associated with, but sometimes the number 45. So these are all reading cutters, and I'm sure that some of y'all have probably seen these, maybe not everybody. But yeah, Stanley issued these, and I guess, I don't know if they weren't big sellers or what, but they did not make a whole ton of them because they are extremely hard to find. And when you do find them, boy, they sell for a pretty penny. Now, these look like somebody has started the process of flattening these, but I mean, I know it looks kind of funny, but I assure you it's not gouged. Just somebody started flattening them. But yeah, these things are super cool and relatively valuable. And if you happen to be that person who's trying to put together a set, or you want to add these to your collection, add this capability for your number 45 or 55, let's chat. See, what had happened was I recently picked up this kind of set of number 45 parts and then some number 55 blades. I'm going to show you some more blades here in just a second. But it has little annoying stuff like this, you know, screw being a replacement. Nothing that I can't take care of. But I mean, overall, I mean, this thing is super, super clean. And it's a sweetheart. So I'm thinking what I'm probably going to do is probably try to put together at least one complete 45 out of this set. And then what I'm going to do is get the blades going. Nope, not those blades. But I'm going to get a set of blades that I put together out of, for example, here, these are mostly your plow irons. And then, of course, your match. And then in this set is going to be the beating irons right here. So those together are going to make a set. And I'll probably try to find at least an appropriate box to put those in. But you can see here is more of those special irons. These are some of those bigger reading cutters. So pretty cool stuff there. And if you happen to be in the market for a number 45, and especially if you like the sweetheart stuff, let's see if we can get one together for you. Just a really weird setup in this lot that I got, because you may notice these are actually number 55 irons or blades or cutters. And you can see they got some pretty nasty pitting on them. So I don't even know if these are going to be viable. I might just, I don't know, throw these on eBay or something. But obviously number 55 cutters, number 45, it's actually a reproduction box, blade box. I think somebody made this. It looks like poplar to me. And they did a pretty good job of keeping it true to the original. And that's a really nice looking label. But of course, I mean, it's a reproduction label as well, since it's a reproduction box. But yeah, I don't know, if you want to take a shot at these number 55 irons or maybe even repurpose them, you know, they're definitely available. And here's kind of a last look at yet another box of blades, another reproduction that somebody made. And this is really more for educational purposes. Remember we talked about those special irons or special cutters that Stanley made? These are the fluting irons right here. And what they did was they put there were four standard fluting irons with a set of, or excuse me, with a number 55 when it came new. And what they did was it was all the even numbers. So think 32, 34, 36, 38. Well, when the special cutters came out, they put them in the odd sizes, and then those are the odd numbers. And that's where you get into, like you can see, 35, 37, 33. So this is a full set of 8 fluting cutters, the 4 standard and then the 4 special. And then back in the background we've got some hollows and rounds. And as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull out these, the larger ones, and let's see what happens in this next segment. This is for my record, folks. This is, I believe, a 405, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not super smart on records. But as you can see, it's a 12R, or 12 round, and then a 12H, which is 12 hollow. And these are fully compatible with the number 45, a Stanley number 45 or a Stanley number 55. But if you happen to have the record version, that's even better. And I did not even realize until I started making this video that these are the actual record irons that go with these. So if you happen to need a 12H and a 12R, either for your record or if you don't mind doing a little cross-contaminating with the Stanley, these are also available. We're going to keep going with that number 45, well, combination plane theme. But yeah, that's that metal box that I showed at the beginning. And these are not terribly common. I mean, they're out there, of course. And that's actually really not a bad label for its age. And wait till you find out how old this thing is. So yeah, make a mental note here. The 1901 cam rest there, this particular label, and then especially this design right here that's on the main skate there, that kind of calligraphy looking thing. So make a mental note of those, and let's go to the book. I've got this thing narrowed down as a type 11, so 1910 to 1914. You can imagine this thing is over 100 years old. I mean, really 110. But yeah, check this out. We've got the cam rest there with the patent date on it. We've got that special trademark, the Stanley Rule and Level, New Britain, all that good stuff. And then here's our metal box, and it goes into details about which one would have had it as far as like an early model, and then the late model went to the pasteboard. But yeah, I mean, very cool stuff. And then you can see that's the correct label. So everything's original and just, I mean, amazingly clean on this. About the only thing that I see missing is the original screwdriver. And it does have a little apology here where the handle got a little bit dinged up there. But overall, I mean, I was telling Tom Rager, who's kind of the expert on number 45s, I was telling him this is the cleanest Type 11 number 45 that I've ever seen. I mean, this thing is absolutely immaculate. You got a little tiny bit of loss of nickel plating here on the skate. And then, like I said, that little ding. But overall, I mean, you tell me, have you ever seen a 110-year-old number 45, if my math is right, that was this clean? I mean, I bet this thing has seen little to no use at all. It's definitely been stored inside its whole life. And the coolest thing about this one is that this bag was in that metal box. So if undeliverable, return to the Stanley Rule and Level plant, which makes me think that this thing was something that was mailed like this, and which I can't even imagine. Like, how would you guarantee something like that? And maybe it used to have a tag that used to hang out here that maybe you would put the address on. I'm just purely speculating here, and then obviously somebody tore it off. But I mean, can you tell me, would you have mailed something like this back in the day? Or would this have maybe been inside of something else? I don't know, but it's very, very cool. I've never seen one of these before, and this is something that I'm definitely going to hold on to. As far as the disposition on this one, I am definitely going to sell it one day. I'm not in a big hurry to sell it because I do want to get that other video, the type study video for the number 45 put together for y'all. And I really would not mind showcasing this one in the video as a primo type 11. So more to follow on that. But if you're just dying to have it and you really are just in love with this thing, you can definitely let me know. Maybe we can work something out. And we are moving right along. So fun fact, this package right here came from Colorado. Bought it from an independent seller, private seller out there, and they shipped it around the same time. You remember those blue packages that I showed at the beginning of the video? Those left China on the same day that this package left Colorado. They both got here today to Yorktown on the same day. Just craziness. But you're going to give the post office the benefit of the doubt and say that it was because of the weather. But yeah, by now most of you already recognize this. A little number 62. The old low angle jack. And unfortunately it's kind of jacked. But let's take a look. So here's our blade, or our iron. And that is really not bad. I mean, we've got some pitting up here. But I mean, it definitely looks like somebody has gone through the effort to start flattening the back there. But as usual, as is almost always the case with these number 62s, you got this just torn up mouth. And that is just completely unset. But the reason why, well, there's two reasons why I got super excited when I saw this. Shout out to the gentleman who sent me the link, by the way. He knows who he is. But what got me excited is this eccentric right here, because these things are missing so incredibly often. I mean, I guess dudes back in the day, or folks using them back in the day, would just take this thing off for whatever reason. But the other thing to get excited about is that this tote is actually intact. I would say that just anecdotal evidence on my part, my observations, is the totes are broken for whatever reason. I'd say about 70-80% of the time, and that one is actually intact. So because of this mouth being the way that it is, I am going to go ahead and part this out, and I'm going to go ahead and throw down and say this eccentric will be sold tomorrow, the same day that this video comes out. And then everything else, we'll see how long that takes. I have a few knobs in stock. I'm definitely hardly ever have a tote, and then I have a few blades. But yeah, if you happen to need a part, you're rebuilding a 62, you know what to do. I've got 3 of these to open, and there's one in particular that I kind of want to save until last. So if I get to that one, I'm either going to do a little creative editing, or we're going to do some sleight of hand or something, because I want to save that one. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is potentially the next evolution in the JPF ecosystem. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually having some parts 3D printed. So why would you get to have all the fun? I want to be able to offer my customers, you know, different products, different options when they reach out to me and say, hey, I need this particular part. I can say, well, here's an original, and it's going to cost this amount. And then here's a reproduction, and it's going to be this amount. And that way you got more options, because it's all about customer service around here. But yeah, that first one is the one that I want to save for last. But that means that I get to show you this one. And if these do well, I'll be able to order some more. And I can already tell there's an issue here. That thing is not to scale. You probably recognize that. That's the number 71 fence. But it's a little miniature fence. I'm not sure what happened there, but that is not the size. And this is why we do prototypes, folks. Oh, well, that's kind of weird. So apparently they got the spacing right, and that does actually fit in there, which is just all sorts of weird. But you can see it's your little guy, it's your little mini. So I don't know, there might be applications where you might actually want to use a small one. I don't know. So I probably will try and sell it, if nothing else, as kind of a novelty. But we're going to have to adjust that and see if we can get one that is a little closer to that size. Let's try this one more time. And hopefully this one doesn't let me down. If it does, this is going to be very, very anticlimactic for the end of this video. Here we go. It's looking promising so far. What do you think? What do you think? That is looking pretty good. And I didn't even know they were going to drill the hole. That's cool. So that should make it a little bit easier for tapping. And that, overall, I mean, I'm going to say that's pretty doggone legit. Let me grab the original and see what we got. Does anybody recognize that fence? Put it in the comments, or just say it to yourself. What's your thought, or what's your observation on that? If you said number 289, then you would be 100% correct. So here we go. Let's see how they did. That looks pretty good to me. I mean, that is definitely the proper scale. It's not miniature like that other one. And I've been chatting with my friend Nate up there, MMSI Hand Tools, about getting this Japan. So I think we can make this look pretty similar to the original. Obviously, we're not trying to pass it off as original by any means. But, you know, for the folks that are looking for one of these and can't seem to find one, which is unfortunate, it's a lot of people because they're just hard to come by, this could be a pretty viable alternative. I mean, I'm going to have to tap this hole out to a 1028, but fortunately I've got the tap, and I've also got some friends who know how to use them if I can't get it right, which hopefully I can. But yeah, that looks like a very legit alternative for folks who are looking for a number 289 fence. If you're wondering about price point, because this is something that you're interested in, I'm going to be honest with you, price probably not going to be too far off of the original, especially if I get it Japan. Now, if I sell it with no Japanning, that'll probably be one price point. If I get it Japan, that'll probably be another. And then if I can't do this, like if I don't have the right machine to tap that hole. Of course, I'm going to try and tap it by hand and see if I can get it right. But if I had to pay a machinist to do it, then, you know, obviously that's going to add expense for me. But yeah, if that's something that you're interested, do me a favor, throw it in the comments and say, hey, I've got a 289, then I need a fence for, and let's chat about price points. I want to send a huge shout out to all the JPF patrons. Y'all are the best. And a shout out to the gentleman who sent me the 3D file for this fence. I mean, that is legit. Thank you. And by the way, Howard, if you're watching, here's the what we were chatting about manufacturing some of these reproductions, so that way I can sell it as a set if need be. And to everybody who made it this far in the video,